So now it's time to actually make some money and start working. And I think photographers need to understand that sometimes you have to just get jobs so that you can afford to, well, eat, obviously, but also continue to kind of shoot the kind of thing that you want to shoot. So I understand you're teaching a couple of days a week at a public school in New York, right?
Yeah. So
tell us a little bit about that.
I teach photography at Erasmus High School to students participating in a pre-college program through Brooklyn College. I saw an ad on NYFA that I responded to, and the description of the job description was something that was really appealing to me. It described at-risk, high-need public school kids who are college-bound. They're high achievers in low-performing schools. So the school in and of itself has trouble meeting the needs of their higher achieving students. So through a partnership that's been around for, I think, 20 years now, Brooklyn College Community Partnership, the Brooklyn College Arts Lab partners with over a dozen public schools. And we bring educators to the schools, and we also bring students to the Brooklyn College campus. It's in an attempt to encourage students, predominantly Black and Hispanic students, to pursue college. And as we mentioned earlier, I'm a Honduran immigrant. I come from a very working class background, and college wasn't on my radar when I was the same age as these students. So had I known, like the old cliche, had I known then what I know now, I would have given a lot more attention to the details, to performing better in high school, to position me better in college, to position me, but so on and so forth. The point
are you able to convey that within the formula you're probably having to work in for the college? Are you able to? Do you think you can convey that to the students? Are they receptive?
It's a very special program because the program doesn't answer directly to the New York City Department of Education, and it doesn't answer directly to Brooklyn College. So there is some fluidity in the materials we cover. So being that I have a background in military media, military journalism, training as a photographer, an interest in the news and politics, and a passion for photography, all of these things inform me, which then informs the class that I teach. So, a lot of the work comes from us interpreting images. And they're not always photographs, but, oftentimes I will take newspaper headlines for various publications that are all using the same photograph, but they all have a different headline. They're all telling a different story with the same photograph. And what I want to emphasize to some of these students is that they are being represented and misrepresented without any say, without any authority. And I feel that we have the burden of history to tell us how these marginalized demographics have been, how we've seen them in the media, how we've seen them in advertising, in popular culture. And I think if we bring this to their attention at an early enough stage, that they can begin to understand and develop their own autonomy and have more of a say in what other people are saying about them, so that they're not just, statistics. So they're not just, a lot of their neighbors. I mean, these kids live in Brownsville. They live in East New York. They live in, some of the rougher parts of Flatbush. And these kids, they're whips. They're smart kids, because they've been raised faster than I was raised in rural Pennsylvania, So I think it's important to equip these students with the tools to, build their own identity, build their own autonomy. And I just hope that while that whatever I do to earn a living is something that I can be proud about, whether that is working in the public school system in New York, or working for a gallery I admire, or photographing people I admire. Like, whatever it is that I do for a living, whatever this, the work that we're working toward, I just want to be proud of it, happy about it,
You sound like you'd be a great teacher. It only takes one good teacher. It only takes one person to help someone feel positive. Lots of people don't have that, and it sounds to me like you're already doing what you hope, which is really my penultimate question would be, ideal goal. I don't really think dream job is the answer, because I don't see you doing one thing necessarily. But I don't think you're going to get that satisfaction working in a gallery necessarily, maybe a non-profit. Right. But it sounds to me like you'd be a really fine teacher, because you're very well-rounded, and you're young enough for the kids to be, even though they probably think you're old, for the kids to be able to relate to. I applaud you for getting the job in the first place, because NIFA, I'm sure, they would have had a lot of applications, but I bet those kids are happy to have you. And if they don't realize it now, they will down the road.
I appreciate that.
My final question is an important one. Have you always had such great hair? Have you always had such great hair?
I haven't started
losing it
yet, so hoping I keep it,
Yeah, I hope you keep it too. Hector, it's really been a pleasure. Thank you so much for chatting.
Thank you so much for your time, Julie. This has been incredible. I can't help but remember, or at least share this story, that Julie taught me a very valuable lesson very early on about rejection letters, and to not take them to heart.
Was I rejecting you at the time?
For CPW?
Oh, yeah.
And there's something to, I talked to Stephen Mallon about this, and about how it was just like, Julie Grahame was one of the earliest rejection letters I got, because that's when I really started applying for things. And I remember thinking about it, being like, oh, bummer, oh well. And then 6 months later, getting, this incredible opportunity. And I was just like, it's not always a good fit. It's not always the right time. It's a million things that...
For the record, nobody else got a rejection letter. Of the 450 people that entered and the 8 people that were selected, nobody else got a rejection letter from the curator, just you. And that speaks to the work. Again, the impact of the work. There was some great work entered, but there was nothing else that I was that desperate to put in the show that I couldn't make work. So I appreciate that. And I think it's important for people to understand that you will get rejected if, you have to be rejected, or you're doing something wrong. You're not entering enough things, or
right.
That's a whole other conversation. But we're desperately losing the light here in London. So I'm going to sign off. I will see you back in New York in the new year.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing you, Julie. Thank you for your time.
It's absolutely been a pleasure. Thank you. This is Julie Grahame, also known as aCurator, signing off from East London.